Have you ever wanted to learn how to play Billie Jean by Michael Jackson?
She was more like a beauty queen.
Pop Life by Prince? Knock on Wood by Eddie Floyd?
I better knock on wood.
Obla Di Obla Da by the Beatles? Back in Black by AC/DC? Try by Pink?
Ever wonder about what he's doing?
Dancing with Myself by Billy Idol?
With the record selection and the mirror's reflection, I'm a dance.
Believe it or not, all of these songs that I mentioned have the same eighth note drum beat. So if you've ever wanted to learn how to play any of those songs I mentioned, you've come to the right place. Hi, my name is Chris Lemp, and I'm from the Dynamic Drum School, and I want to start a new eighth note drumming series. I want to teach you the drum beat to all those famous songs I mentioned. I also want to teach you a bunch of eighth note variations to famous bands like John Mayer, Green Day, Otis Redding, and Coldplay, as well as a bunch of other bands. We're also going to teach you how to add a crash cymbal and play a bunch of cool drum fills. If you've never played drums before, I recommend I did a whole quarter note drumming series. I would check that out first. There's a link in the description below. But today what I want to do is start by teaching that main eighth note drum beat. We're going to break down each limb separately. I'm going to teach you how to play the hi-hat part, the snare drum part, and the bass drum part. And then in 6 steps, we're going to put everything together. After you've learned the drum beat, I have 2 fun play-alongs at 70 beats per minute and 90 beats per minute. And the idea is that's going to prepare you to play for the faster songs, because most of all the songs I mentioned start around 90 beats per minute and get faster. So let's get started. All right, let's start with just counting eighth notes. So you count eighth notes like this. You say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Basically, what I recommend is try practicing that at all different speeds. See if you can do it at slow, medium, and fast. I would recommend too just hitting pause, just practicing that for a bit. When you feel comfortable, we'll try adding it with the examples. And always try to count all these examples out loud as you play them. So we're going to start with the hi-hat. Number 1, if you haven't downloaded the PDF, be sure to do that. You can either follow along with the PDF, or I'm going to put the music notation above me so you can follow along that way too, whichever is easiest. So with the eighth notes on the hi-hat, it's going to be a full measure of eighth notes. Every time you say the count with one of the eighth notes, you're going to hit the hi-hat at the same time. So if you're right-handed, you can play the right hand in the hi-hat. If you're left-handed, you can play the left hand in the hi-hat. And I recommend to my students, try to start off doing both. See if you can practice the right hand, see if you can do it with the left hand too. Whichever hand you lead with, practice the other way too. So what we want you to do is practice along with me. I'm going to try this at 50 beats per minute. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. All right, let's take a look at example number 2. We're going to be playing the snare on counts 2 and 4. So count still all the full eighth notes, and then just hit the snare on 2 and 4. On 1, it's a quarter note rest. On 2, it's a quarter note with the snare. On beat 3, we have another quarter note rest, and beat 4, another quarter note. Let's try this with me at 50 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3, and 4, 1. Let's take a look at example number 3. Number 3, we're moving down to the bass drum. So you're going to play the bass drum on counts 1 and 3. So we have a quarter note on beat 1, then on beat 2, it's a quarter note rest. Beat 3, bass drum, hit again with a quarter note, and then on 4, it's a quarter note rest. Same thing, let's try it along with me at 50 beats per minute. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1. Let's take a look at example number 4. This is where it starts to get really fun because we're going to start combining limbs together. So number 4 is example number 1 and number 2 together. So we're going to be playing 8/8 notes on the hi-hat, but now when we say 2 and 4, we're going to hit the hi-hat together. So we've got the 1 and the and with just the hi-hat, then on the 2, hi-hat and snare together. The and a 2 is just the hi-hat. Then the 3 and the and, just the hi-hat again, and then the 4, we're going to hit both hands together, and then the hi-hat just by itself on the and. So try that with me at 50 beats per minute. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Great, let's take a look at example number 5. This is going to be with the hi-hat and the bass drum, combining examples number 1 and 3. So now when we say 1, we're going to hit the hi-hat and the bass drum together, the and, the 2 in the and, just the hi-hat, and then the 3, hi-hat and bass drum together, and then the and, the 4 in the and, just the hi-hat. Same thing, let's try this at 50 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Awesome, now that you can play examples number 4 and 5, we're going to put this together in example number 6 to create the full drum beat. So we're going to start with the hi-hat and the bass on the 1. Then you're going to play the and a 1 by itself. Number 2 is the hi-hat and the snare. The and of 2 is just the hi-hat. Beat number 3 is the hi-hat and the bass. The and of 3 is just the hi-hat. Then the 4 is the hi-hat and the snare, and then just the hi-hat. Let's try this at 50 beats per minute. Let's do it together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. If you're enjoying this lesson and you want more content like this, please subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and hit the notification bell. Thanks a lot. Now what you want to do is take your right hand or your left hand and move it to a different sound source. You're going to keep your bass drum pattern and your snare pattern the same, but see if you can move the other hand around, maybe to the floor tom. Play the exact same 8/8 notes on the floor tom, maybe on the ride cymbal, on the crash cymbal, on the small tom, on the rim, anything, the bell of the cymbal. And what you want to try to do is see if you can maybe play it all those different places, and then maybe 4 measures of each example, 2 measures or 4 measures, and just practice that. So the last step is just to try these with 2 short little play-alongs. One is at 70 beats per minute, and one is at 90 beats per minute. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 1 2 3 4 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 and 3 and 4 1 2 and 3 and 4 1 2 3 4 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 1. Great, now that you can play along with the play along tracks, the next step is to play along with songs. So I'll put the list up again here. Try the slower songs, the slower beats per minute. Don't worry about accents or fills. Just put the song on, have fun, and jam along to it. The next video I'm going to do is going to be adding a crash cymbal and changing the bass drum pattern a little bit. What's cool is with a lot of these, we're going to stick to the hands. The hands is going to be 8/8 notes on the hi-hat, 2 and 4 on the snare, but we're going to change the bass drum pattern a little bit. If you got something out of this and you enjoy it, please subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, hit the notification bell. It helps us a lot. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I'll be happy to answer anything you're curious about. And we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.